flow state. I can't wait to see straight. I can't wait to change fate. I can't wait to flee hate. Keeping all my good traits, letting all the mistakes go. I beat the foe, I take control. Spread good vibes is all I'm told. Never sold, there's always more. I can grow and I'll explore all the past that I can map out in my head. It's like a tour. Know the world is evil, people strip you right down to the core. But you know that you can be way better than you were before. For your mother, for your father, for your sister or your toddler, you can be the one that makes them feel the best when they're around you. So don't be a lazy coward, just listen for an hour. Sean and Tyler about to show you just how you can hold the power.
Welcome back to Flo State with Sean and Tyler LaFlock. In this week's episode, we go over topics like the Hodgetwins, Netflix, the Friends cast, what having a fortune would do to us, Elizabeth Holmes and the Theranos company, Ripped and Resilient, online coaching Accelerator, and much, much more. Guys, if you like this podcast, please consider subscribing, rate, and review. Enjoy. And I haven't recorded, so I've been recording the podcast.
We haven't started yet?
I mean, we just started. All right, so let me recap what we talked about thus far. The Hodgetwins.
The Hodgetwins, and I go back and listen to our podcasts each week before we go live as a way to get into that flow state.
That flow state. I'm about to see straight. Anyway. So
shout out M. Burke. Another shout out today. Second shout out goes to SAL Part 2.
Oh, baby. That's right. Sloan Dog Millionaire.
Sloan Dog Millionaire. Slony Baloney. The one and only.
The Slony Baloney. The one and only.
The one and only.
Baloney.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. Sloan is our niece. She's the first LaFlock female in quite some time.
And she is now I passed the reins on to her as the youngest LaFlock.
How did that feel, Tyler, to no longer identify as the youngest LaFlock?
Definitely a part of me died in a way, for sure.
You're like, I'm not a kid anymore.
I guess this is real.
I'm 30, but I still feel like a kid.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. 31 in a couple months.
I am going to be 31 in a couple months. That's right.
And I'm going to have a brother who's 31.
That's right. How does it feel to be 32?
Tyler, I'm 33.
What? You are? Oh,
what do you want?
Why are we all so old? Is Graham turning 40 this year?
Yes.
Oh my God.
He was born in 1979. He will be 40 in December.
Holy smokes.
You have a brother who is 40 years old.
That's weird. I always thought about that. Like, I'm going to have, it's funny. It's like you think about, when I have a brother who's in their 40s, I'm going to be so old. And now this is happening.
Well, it's better than being in your 40s and having your brother in their 50s.
That's true, too. I mean, it's all going to happen eventually, right? So,
he doesn't have to.
That's true.
Just jump out in the traffic and that real quick.
Yeah, or get hit by an asteroid. After I was just listening to Rogan before and talk about asteroidal impacts. Whew. Crazy.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, shit you can't control. What are you gonna do? I gotta worry about if I'm gonna make the train or not. You know, can't be worried about an asteroid hitting us.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that some people need to worry about that stuff, but it's like if it's not part of your path, then why? It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Do your part in this play that is life. All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. That is from Macbeth. Might not be from Macbeth. I'm not sure.
I think it's from the show. It's from the show Barry. I think that's what it was from.
And that's what they were doing. They were doing Macbeth. Out damn spot. Speaking of which, Barry comes back on March 31st.
And speaking of which, this podcast is sponsored by HBO.
HBO. It's not TV. It's HBO.
Cha-ching. Cha-ching. Ba, 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 ba. Oh. Dude, Sunday night HBO programming doesn't get much better. I mean,
still
going strong.
Day.
Yeah.
Like Netflix. Let me ask you this. Is Netflix worth the hype?
I've been listening a lot to that guy, what's his name? Andrew. He's been on all these podcasts lately.
Schultz?
Yeah, there you go. Schultz.
talking shit about
Netflix, how they're
it's gonna be obsolete.
Yeah, well, not obsolete, but just the idea of
what's your perspective?
I've talked to a few people like this because it really intrigued me, right? Because essentially, I would say most of us think of Netflix as a monster right now. They're crushing it. They have all these subscribers, but then you also learn that they're like 5 billion or 8 billion in debt, and then you also then think about, man, how much money do they have to be spending to create and all these shows and movies? They're like, as much money is coming in, that's as much money that's going out. And then Amazon's in the game and Facebook's in the game. But at the end of the day, the point he makes is that you're vying for people's attention, and YouTube has definitely done a successful job in getting people to be connected and waste their time there, and they don't have to put all this money into it. So in terms of like that scenario of like YouTube versus Netflix long term, you would have to like give the nod to YouTube. But at the whole end of the like, I do always think that there's going to be a want for great content. So if somebody was like, Tyler, I need you to spend $20 a month to be able to watch Game of Thrones, I would do it. If somebody was like, Tyler, I need you to spend $20 a month to watch, it's another one of my favorites, Barry. A sliding scale on that, where I always think these shows, movies will have value. So there's always going to be people and money to create them. But just the idea of, when we break it down to its lowest level, what are we really competing for is people's attention.
So why aren't we just playing with Pogs then?
Alf is back.
In Pog form.
So
why not just play with a yo-yo and Pogs?
If it's all about just
vying for people's attention, right? So I think that I agree with you, and that was kind of my argument after listening to Andrew Scholes. But my girlfriend Lauren had a great point. It's like a couple things. One, YouTube has advertising. So They have commercials, unless you're paying $16 a month, which is another subscription because it removes ads, and then you get the YouTube premium stuff with YouTube Red and that kind of thing.
Right.
They have their own content that they're putting out. But in terms of the stuff that like YouTubers are putting out, like, which again, like I watch the Joe Rogan podcast, and that's a good 4 to 6 hours of listening a week, right? And then I obviously have other things that I watch. I listen to and watch Russell Brand. Kyle Cease put some stuff out on YouTube. So, I think it's a great option. I think it's just different, right?
Yep.
They're not putting out content like Game of Thrones type things or Netflix type things. So it's kind of it's a different lane. The other thing to consider is that Netflix is what, $10 or $11 a month, maybe $12 a month. And they have 190 million subscribers.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
And then they could also charge another $2 to those subscribers, and probably no one would even notice. Do you think any of them?
It just went up.
Oh, it just went up. Yeah. I didn't even know. So they could always shift that needle a little bit, and then as times change, I thought
sorry, let me just correct myself.
Yeah,
as of January 17th, Netflix now has 139 million paying subscribers. So that means that there's probably about 250 million people watching Netflix, and half of them actually pay for it.
Well, yeah, right.
But that's pretty crazy, though, right? Think about that, because a lot of people are sharing subscriptions. So in terms of people that are actually watching, it's probably 250 million people.
Yeah, that's a lot of people.
So,
but then he also makes the point
at $12 a month. So that's $1.39 billion in revenue every month. Every month.
Yeah.
That debt doesn't make a damn.
Yeah, that's true. For sure. But he also makes the point that most of these people are watching shows like Friends and The Office, and Netflix just paid $100 million for Friends to stay on for another year. So I thought that was also an interesting point, that most people still are going to watch the things that they're nostalgic about, along those lines.
Dude, you know how stupid it is how much money the Friends cast makes?
No, I don't.
Dude,
What?
they make $20 million a year in royalties.
That's
Yo,
insane.
legit. Like if you look up like Jennifer Aniston,
Net worth.
like net worth, I don't know why these people would ever act again. It says her net worth is $240 million.
Wow.
That's fuck you money.
Yeah, for sure. That's like
Um,
I get my kid into USC like 50 times over money.
Yeah. But legit, they make something like $20 million a year in royalties. So like you could never act again and still be in the 0.0001% of everyone.
Yeah.
Like, why would you even do another acting gig? Like, who cares? Like, unless you really enjoyed it, right?
That's why I mean I hope that most of them do enjoy it. Right?
I think that's probably the most money that people are made in terms of like
What do you think
royalties.
what do you think Seinfeld is making off Seinfeld?
How much does he make on it? I believe Jerry's worth $800 million.
Right. So he once again, he doesn't have to do any type of show again. So anything that he gets to do, it's like from a completely creative, like it's just whatever he wants to do. And I think a lot of these, that's what I admire or what I aspire to be is to find something that if I had $800 million to do, I would still go out and do it. And
Absolutely. So it's like,
and that's,
go ahead.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, so like you know how they always had that question: if you could make if I gave you $100 million, what would you do with your life? You know what I mean? I think I was talking to someone about this because we were going over this very thing. So just gonna throw this out: you Friends pulls in a whopping one. This is from USA Today. Friends pulls in a whopping $1 billion each year for Warner Brothers. Here's the kicker, though. That translates into $20 million paycheck for Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, Matthew Perry, and David Schwimmer, who each make 2% off syndication income. That's $20 million each year for doing nothing. Let that sink in. That wasn't the only thing I learned about. Yeah. Okay, right? So think about this. $20 million a year. Like, what would you, like, I think one of the things that you and I especially are kind of keeps us motivated, keeps us fighting, keeps us trying to be creative is we are, we don't have that money. We don't have that availability. We kind of are trying to create something where we have a better life, so to speak, right? If someone were to just plop $20 million on my lap, that's scary to me. I'm like, now what the fuck do I do? It's like what I've been fighting this fight this whole time, and someone puts in the cheat code.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like imagine like when you are playing a video game and all of a sudden you're like, oh, let's put the cheat code in. And you're like, this is point like in Grand Theft Auto when you put in like the no you never die. It's like this is boring now.
Yeah.
I think because life isn't guaranteed and that I think you're making a significant impact by trying to create something to make a better life. I think that's kind of like the struggle makes it more powerful.
Right. And I think for me when I think about this scenario is like it makes that decision of what I'm doing, it really narrows it down, right? Because when you think about it now, there's a part of you that's like, oh, I need to be able to do this, and I also need to be able to make money from this. So it's when that idea of, for me at least, when that idea of taking money away, then that's like, oh, now I really need to dial down to like, what do I really want? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I think it also what happens is like when we live a life in lack, we get used to it. So we don't know any other way to live. So if someone were to say, okay, here's the cheat code, and you're like, oh shit. Like for me personally, there's a lot of other people like, dude, I'd love to win the lotto. I would do whatever the hell I want, blah, 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 this and the other thing. But I think the reason why that is because a lot of people are kind of like addicted to the idea of materialism. So they're like, oh, just spend money and enjoy my life. But here's the thing. It's like those people, after a certain amount of time, they're like, I'm bored now. There's only so much money you can spend. There's only so many yachts you can have. There's only so many places you can go. Like, that's the reason why people are trying to go to the fucking moon and outer space and shit. Like, Bronson that's his name? What's his first name? Branson. Richard Branson's like, I want to go to outer space. You've got to be so fucking bored with life in terms of how much money and abilities you have to like do stuff that you're like, let's put a rocket into outer space and try to go to outer space.
Yeah, Branson, Bezos, Musk.
Yeah.
I think for me, I connect to when I think about this, it's like, what are the two things that give me the most joy? And one is making people laugh. And two is the feeling when they tell me about the results that they got and I played a part in those results. So I don't know if that scares me in a way because it's dependent on the reactions of people, right? It's almost an external, but I'm also very, if they didn't laugh or whatever, like I'm still a happy person at the end of the day or in a way, but those two moments when I think about it, it's like what fulfills me the most is when people are laughing or when people are telling me, Tyler, like what you said, or, since working with me, I've seen X and you've changed my life. Like those two things are what give me the most meaning and fulfill me the most. So that's what I try to lean into in the most with what I do in my life. So whatever, if somebody dropped $20 million in my lap, okay, great. That's cool. So how do I utilize this money to make people laugh more? Or how do I utilize this money to have people tell me like, oh my God, you changed my life because of this?
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate that. It's interesting because yesterday or 2 days ago, I was listening to Joe Rogan's podcast, and he had Gary Taubes and Stefan something or other on there, and they were arguing about like what makes you fat, etc. I was like, yo, what'd be cool is like if I had like some stupid amount of money, $1 billion, something like that, I would love to like give each of them $10 million, be like, go figure it out. You know what I mean? Like that would be a cool reality TV show where scientists show up and they're like, I think the earth is flat. Like, okay, here's $20 million. Go figure it out. Or a person says, I know that the earth is round. Okay, good. Like that would be a cool
Right.
Shark Tank thing of like, and I think in a lot of ways, like a very altruistic way of spending your money of like, donating it to scientists because I think just so little money gets funded for science anyway. Giving people opportunities to actually explore what our world and like in macro and micro scale is like, because I think the more that we understand what things are, the better we have an ability to decide what we want to do in this world and what availabilities are there.
Yeah. Or even here, go create a test where somebody spits on a strip and from there it tells them exactly, if you eat X, Y, and Z, this will help your body be at its highest functioning rate. Because I think there's just so much like unknown about health and nutrition and the connection between the gut and like there's just so much little. And I feel like if we begin to unlock that, then we begin to unlock that idea of de-stressing the system, and then people can live more fuller and in a way.
Yeah,
I don't know, just came to my mind.
So the other interesting thing that I came across, speaking of HBO, as we were talking about earlier, I don't know if it got on the podcast or not, but that new documentary that came out about Elizabeth Holmes, who was
Theranos? Right?
Yeah, Theranos. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who basically formed this $1 billion company out of Silicon Valley. And I remember actually reading about her 3 or 4 years ago and be like, damn, this person is inspiring. Like, and she's a woman, and she's, in this world of biotech where it's a male dominated field, and she's kicking ass and she's smart and the whole thing. And then you find out 2 years later that she was basically full of shit, and that she was, I don't know if she was trying to defraud people, but I think, and this is a discussion I think we can have. Are you aware about this situation? Do you know the story?
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar. Like she was trying to get a test where you like not at home blood testing kit, but just a way for people to test their blood easier and more affordably.
Yeah, so basically, you're pretty much on the nose. You imagine something the size of about a microwave, that you would have. They would have in like pharmacies. That's where they started out, in like Walgreens, where you would have a little. Like using nanotechnology, you would use a very, very small amount of blood taken from the end of the finger. You put that into a testing machine, and then it would just run the analysis based upon what tests you would need, and which is a great idea. And
so, yeah,
But like, you know, when you look at the practicality of it and how close they were when they originally started the company, they weren't even close. But it's you know, in talking to, you know, some people who have great ideas and are smarter than me in a lot of ways, a lot of the tech companies will start with just an idea, and then they kind of fill in the gaps as they go, and they kind of got to sell an idea so that they get enough funding so that they can actually maybe along the way get where they need to be. And that was Microsoft's model the entire time: get the product to about halfway there, sell it, and then patch it afterward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I wonder how like a company like Apple and Steve Jobs was, where he held up the first iPhone or the first iPod and said, this thing is going to revolutionize the world, and how close it really was to actually working when they actually came out with it, right?
It's about a piece of duct tape on the back, like holding it together.
Yeah, and it was just a recording of him singing in it or something like that. It didn't hold any sounds or any music.
It's if you want to have like another, you know, the I know everyone made fun of it, but the Fire Festival documentary, I don't know if you watched that. I think that really breaks it down in terms of how these companies get built and how you're like on the brink of collapse, and then another thing happens. And so it has this momentum where you're just figuring things out on the fly, and to them in a similar situation, like we're just going to be able to figure it out. We got to keep it going. And I thought that was a good behind the scenes look, and it allowed you to understand that, because you're not like, you're somewhat sympathetic to the idea that these people like were not just trying to defraud everyone. They were trying to do it, but they shot a little bit too far for the moon, clearly. So it's not so black and white that they're trying to defraud people. They do believe in trying to get something done. It's just they got to keep the ride going so they can figure it out. It's basically like buying time to figure it out.
Yeah, and I think that's a cautionary tale to anybody who's looking to shoot for the stars. It's like you got to have some substance behind what you're doing.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why there's not 19-year-olds in Silicon Valley making companies for that reason, because you need enough experience to, like, you know, belief is awesome. Having belief in yourself and knowing that your product is amazing, that's great. But knowing your product is amazing because it actually has substance behind it is also crucial. The other thing to appreciate is that you know, in terms of the Fire Festival or any other company, is that like a lot of this is more about our gut feeling than it is about like the numbers, right? So Jonathan Haidt has written a bunch of books. He's been on Joe Rogan's podcast, and he has this analogy of the rider and the elephant. And the rider is your like kind of like your analytical, like rational mind, and then the elephant is your gut, right? Is your feelings, is your emotions, and that kind of dictates most of the time where things go.
Yeah, or I've heard it as the rider being the conscious part of your mind and the elephant being the subconscious.
Absolutely,
so just the idea
that's definitely along with it.
Right, so just how much of we don't have control, or we don't know of what's going on underneath.
So there's a couple ways to think about it in this situation, is that like these investors, they eventually, it comes down to a gut decision. Like, do I believe that this person has the goods to go to take me where I need to go? And, you know, there are a lot of people who are successful and they get burnt sometimes. And there's a lot of people who are unsuccessful and sometimes they come out on top sometimes. But I think it's funny that in this world where you can know absolutely everything about everything, yet it really does come down to an investor's gut instinct of like, do I trust this person or do I not trust this person? And I think that goes back to like kind of things that we've talked about before, of like the better the connection you have in yourself, within yourself, the better those decisions you can actually make. You know, because you actually can expose where this decision is coming from. Is this coming from source? Is this coming from your heart? Or, you know, will it matter one way or the other? Like
right.
if you're not successful, are you complete? If it's successful, are you still complete?
Right.
Versus if this doesn't work out, then I'm fucked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, so now you're coming from a place of fear.
Yeah.
Rather than a place of
knowing.
Creation. Yeah, or knowing. That's a really good point.
And I think when you come from a place of knowing, there is no right or wrong answer because it's always going to lead you to the next spot. So even if this person says, I'm going to invest $100 million and the place goes bankrupt, what experiences did you get out of it?
Yeah.
Who did you meet during it? And maybe that brings you to the next place. Like I want to say it was Elon Musk who, he's had huge flops in his career, but it's brought him to the next place. And I think it was Airbnb. They launched 2 or 3 times. They rebranded and relaunched. And then finally became Airbnb.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I was just listening today in that book I was talking about last week, Mastery. Ford trying to get the first model car done. And he had two times with investors where it didn't go well. And what he learned from those flops, if you will, is that he needed to control the process. So then he was finally able to find an investor who was going to give him complete autonomy. And that's how he was able to do the assembly line.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's learning from failure. It's learning to have something within you that's truly driving you from the right place. Then you're going to be able to use those failures as learning opportunities. If it's something that's being driven from, I don't know, ego or driven from fear, probably those failures are just going to completely destroy you.
Yeah. So just going back to what I was saying before is this is a tweet that he put out in 2013. If you launch and no one notices, launch again. We launched 3 times. And that's Brian Chesky, the co-founder and CEO of Airbnb.
Right.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. With that being said, ripped and resilient, 90-day transformation.
Whoa, watch out.
Yeah. So
how's it going? How how's it going, Tyler? I see a very face.
Yeah. Okay, so we could go many different angles with this story. First, I think the first, baby. Yeah. So the first element of this story is that you and I know that I run away from confrontation at all costs.
Okay.
Right. Confrontation to me, like right now, even talking about it, like my heart is beating in my chest. So I released the program and 2 people or 3 people from the gym reached out to me. And I had calls with them and we discussed. And once again, the premise of this, I didn't design this for people who go to the gym that I coach at. I designed this for people, who anywhere, like they could be in New York City, they could be anywhere in the world, who want to get into better shape, who want to transform their lives. So that was the direction of this program, where it would involve workout design and nutritional consultation and weekly calls and meditation and mindfulness coaching and mindset coaching and everything and anything that I feel is going to support you in transforming over 90 days. So I got on calls with these people from the gym. They went great. Each one had a different theme. One was like they were very stressed out, so I would support them in helping them get de-stress. One was dealing with an injury and just really needed accountability. One was just like super excited about the 90 days and he wanted to do a little mini documentary on himself and just loved the idea. And once again, these 3 people go to the gym where I'm at. Fast forward, and it goes great. They sign up. Fast forward a week into it. 2 of the people that I was, they were already doing workouts on their own. The person who owns the gym recognized that they were doing workouts that are very, aligned with what I do. And he then texted me like, "Are you training them?" And then I shot him a text back like, they reached out to me, blah, blah, blah. And they were dealing with injuries, so I'm programming for them. And then he wrote back that, essentially like that I was going around his back and trying to, essentially market to a base where he pays rent for and not giving the gym any type of or like not coming to him, and he thought it was complete disrespect. And if it wasn't for me, my clients, he would fire me, but he doesn't want to have the people who I train at the gym be without a coach. So he's like, so I have a meeting with him tomorrow to talk about this and explain kind of like what the deal is. But that's just been like eating me up inside for the past 2 days since he texted me that and had that response. So I guess for you, feedback, like as a gym owner, and you let's say a coach, you experienced this for yourself. You saw a couple members in your gym, they were doing their own thing, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. And then you found out that one of your coaches was programming, they were doing this whole program, but these members were still, paying for their membership. There wasn't a conflict in taking these members away. Everything's done mainly online or offline and outside of the gym. So that's what was kind of my thought process behind it, is that all of this takes place outside of the gym. So do I really need to involve the person who owns the gym in this discussion? Thoughts, comments, advice?
Well, why didn't you tell him?
That's what I keep going back to. Part of me was probably say that he's in a position right now where he might be like, I don't want you to work with them. No, like,
because you knew that there was a possibility that you could get it now.
Yeah.
So you're like, it's the mindset of, sometimes it's better to apologize than to ask permission.
Yeah, I imagine.
Well, let me ask you this: does that resonate with you?
No.
Okay, so what else did you think? Did you really not think that there was a problem with it?
No, there was. Yeah. I guess I was hoping that, it was just going to be, because this wasn't designed for members there, then, these first few would be through the gym, and then hopefully that they would then go through this transformation. I would then be able to kind of like use their stories going forward, and they would tell others, and hopefully kind of get that momentum going through there. And yeah, I didn't really anticipate it going as it did. I don't know.
So that would have been a great conversation to have off the bat.
Yeah.
Right? So if you were to come to your boss and be like, hey man, there's a couple people that look like they want to do this. I want to make sure that it's okay with you first because they're your members.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you were to come to me like that, I'd be like, okay, well, I think because this is our space, I think it's important that we have some kind of compensation for the gym itself. Not for me. I don't give a crap. If you're doing well, great, because that means that we're all doing well. But I need my coaches to be transparent about what they're doing, because I want to be able to help them. I also know that if the business doesn't run and we have turmoil within the business, then there is no business. No one has anything.
Right.
Because as a business owner, if everyone is not on the same page, then there is no business.
Right.
Right. And I never really got that until I owned my own business. Right. Mm-hmm. If you have someone rogue who's doing their own thing and it's affecting the rest of us, then that's something that we have to address. Mm-hmm. So, what is that? How does that sound to you?
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think a lot of me knows that he does have he's very much in the right here, which makes me obviously feel like shit, and that I need to apologize and own up to it. Because I think you're right. I should have had that discussion in the beginning, but I guess you're right. I think it was the fear of the possibility of being told no. And that to think that, this is mostly, and then like rationalizing it, saying to myself, most of this is taking place outside of the gym, but I didn't put it in those terms of needing to keep, transparency.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I've gone through a very similar situation before. But before we get to that, and kind of like giving you what I've done before, that going back to that documentary, they had a economic analyst on, and he's done experiments on what people do in terms of like the experiment that they used was they were going to roll a die, and whatever number you rolled, whatever the top number would be, that is what you would donate to a charity of your choice. So if you rolled a 6, you get $6. If you roll a 1, you get $1, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what they would do is they would say, okay, you're going to roll the dice and you're going to think of either top or bottom. That number, you're going to think of, I want top or I want bottom. And when you roll the dice, it'll be, let's say, a 1 on one side, a 5 on the other. You're going to tell me afterward what that number was or what side you picked. So you're going to know what numbers are on there and you're going to tell me what you picked. So like if you rolled a 1 and a 5, you'd be like, okay, what did you pick? I picked the bottom. I picked 5. Okay, cool. Then we'll write that down. Then they put them on a lie detector machine. Okay, so they realize that, oh shit, people lie a lot because they want that thing, right? They want the better number.
Right.
But then here's the cool thing. So they showed that they lie. But now they said, okay, what you're going to do is every time you pick something, that money is going to go to a charity of your choice. So if you roll it and you get the bigger number, whatever, cool. So they found out that there is no they can't discern whether they're lying or telling the truth. Once that person has a reason to lie, it has no like effect on their morality.
Got it.
So in essence, if you believe what you're doing is right, you don't know about right or wrong anymore. Like you don't have the ability to tell that you're in a lie.
Right.
You know what
I
mean?
So once I had rationalized that, then
yeah, someone could say like, "Hey, man, are you sure about this?" You're like, "I'm 100% sure. This is really what I want, and I'm not doing anything wrong."
Right.
And if you think about like in the sense of like this Theranos or like Lance Armstrong was raising tens of millions of dollars for cancer research. He wasn't doing anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
That's what we tell ourselves. We could be murdering people, but as long as for the greater good of things, we don't see it as wrong.
Right.
Right. Especially for me personally, because I used to think about it like, yo, I'm feeding myself. This isn't fair. Like I'm starving. Like I don't have anything. I don't get anything. And you're telling me I can't do this? Screw you. But that's a conversation that I had in my head. I never talked to them about it. I used like different instances and I had my own
own story.
Yeah, my own story, narrative. But my own evidence that I've created to back my perspective. Oh, yes. I remember when he said this person to that and he didn't let him do it. You know what? I'm not even going to bother asking.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or this person's usually very tough and I'm not going to, whatever. But like if I came to somebody with an open heart and said like, listen, man, this is something I'm super, super passionate about. And I don't even care. You could take all the money from this, but I know it's going to be for the greater good of everybody. Because all we think about is the short term. It's like, what am I going to make off of this? But like, what if you actually collaborated with your boss and he said, you know what? Let's promote this within the gym.
Right.
And now you have, how many people in the gym do you have?
200.
Okay, so what if you had 200 people doing this?
Yeah. I'd have to scale it totally. It's a totally different business model.
I get it, but what if you advertised it to 200 and you got 10?
Right.
And we said, okay, we're going to split this 50-50 between you and your boss. And now what is your boss thinking? Okay, he gives a shit about the business and you get to do something with it.
Right.
For me personally, I do an 80-20 split on anything my coaches do. And I'm probably not even making any money off of that because of credit card stuff, processing and usage of the facility. Like it's wear and tear on the equipment. So the way I see it is like if my coaches are doing well, the entire gym is doing well. Yeah. And if they ever want opportunities to like market and that kind of stuff, I tell them, let's do it. I want whatever you want because that's what I wanted. That's the people that I wanted to work for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I wanted someone like, because I remember even when I was working for Paul, who was like my mentor when I was younger at No Limit Lacrosse, he was like, dude, whatever we need to do, let's do it. And that was such a huge thing. And like, those are the people that I really loved collaborating with. And, you know, it's funny because I've been looking for like a coach or someone to co-collaborate with. And I think you would be a great person to co-collaborate with, you know, and co work with and do things with. Because I think we are a very similar mindset. So like, imagine that you came to me and said, hey, I want to do this RIP Resilient thing. Let's combine our efforts, because I think if we combine our efforts, then we have twice as many people to market to, and we can cross promote.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But here's the thing. You had to go through this lesson in order for you to get to this point.
Yeah.
So you can't feel guilty about fucking up. I mean, you can, and you can go through that process and you can own that. But what I offer is like, the way you feel right now, that is going to allow you to transcend to a new level where you're not going to be afraid of this anymore. Because I think a lot of the time is we get afraid of fucking up, and that creates that reaction within us, that fight or flight. And now we're in a place of like, I have no idea what to do. I can't even find my heart right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been like bouncing around so many ways to like have this discussion. Like, how is this discussion going to go tomorrow? Is he going to be like, and then I just keep on thinking about, well, what do I, and like, which totally goes to your point that we always think in the short term is like, what do I tell these 3 people who are a week and a half into this program? Like, what do I say to them? Like, what if he's like, you can't, like, you have to like, what if he says, have to discontinue with them, like, it just isn't right? And then what discussion then do I have with these 3 people? And
or you go, hey, you know what? I really wasn't thinking about the group, the gym here, and I apologize. And I know that probably makes you feel like I'm completely disrespectful to you. And I think realistically is anybody in anything that happens is they want to be heard.
Yeah.
Right. And I feel that probably your boss is like, yo, you went around me.
Yeah.
I thought you respected me, and this is what you give me.
Yeah.
Now, everybody's not on the level that we're at where they're like, okay, we're going to let that go and we're going to be all hunky-dory about it. So you got to be there, you know, and you got to be authentic. And if you bullshit through this, he's going to smell in a second. But know this, Tyler, regardless of anything that happens, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds and feels like you're going to die. But when you go through this, that part of you will die. And another part of you is going to come through this, because I told you I was going to share an experience with you, but I had a very similar experience. I was coaching somebody outside of the gym. They were a friend of the owner. And, you know, she said, listen, anything that you do, I get 40% of anything you do. And I was like, that's not fair. I want 50-50, blah, blah. She goes, well, it doesn't matter. That's what we're doing. And I've always had a resentment for that. And as soon as I got this client, I was like, you know what? Forget her. I need to make money. And that's that. And she doesn't need to know. She ends up finding out, and she freaks out. And she goes, listen, you disrespected me. And I never really saw it from her perspective, because why? Because I thought what I was doing was justified, because I need to feed myself. Mm-hmm. Right? But that was a bullshit excuse, because if I went to her and said, I'm starving, I need to feed myself, I would have been lying. I did it because I didn't want anybody else to tell me what the fuck I can do.
Yeah.
And it's my life and I have control over it. But guess what? If you're working with other people, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You got to have respect for everybody within the group. So I actually quit. It got very heated. I walked out. I said, I fucking quit. Bye. And I was done for about 24 hours. And I came back in. I said, listen, I talked to some people, and I was like, all right, let's see if we can kind of get to the bottom of this, because initially it's all reactionary. It's all emotion. I'm wrong. I've been wronged. I've been wronged. You're an asshole. You're an asshole. And we go, right?
Right.
So I sat down and said, listen, like, and by the way, I was like crying in the first one, how angry I was and how hurt I was, and things kind of came up, and I was like, I have no, like, I was like, I'm done. I quit. And after that, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I knew that was the right thing to do. Right. And then afterward, I'm like, do I need to? Do I go back to this? And there's no right or wrong answer. I ended up going back and being like, listen, this is the way I feel. How do you feel? And then they say, this is the way I feel. And this is what I think. And we go, okay, is it possible for us to come to a middle ground here? And I was like, listen, I concede that was fucked up of doing that. I didn't want to do that, but I feel disrespected here. I feel like I'm not enough. I feel like this 60-40 split isn't good enough. I feel like I'm, and to be honest with you, like, I don't think you have an appreciation for the expenses that I have, the money that I need to make. Like, I feel so pressured by this. Now, was that her that really needed to hear that? No, that's me. That's
Right.
me talking to myself saying, yo, man, there's a lot of pressure in this. And I hate the fact that I have to worry about my bills. I hate the fact that I have to worry about having enough ID clients so I can pay for my freaking college loans. But again, like, if you're always thinking from this place of lack, there's always going to be something that you have to worry about. So rather than doing that, we just work with what we have in front of us because, like, how many dollars did you spend on marketing this thing?
Well, the program itself is $5,000.
The Ripped and Resilient is $5
No,
grand.
no. The program that I enrolled in, to the online coach accelerator that gets you to build this out,
Yep,
is $5,000.
Okay, great. So how much did you spend on the marketing for yourself?
Nothing. I just marketed through Instagram.
And that was it.
Yeah,
How many clients did you get?
4.
Okay. So you have a fairly good following. How much, I'm just going to be real with you. Like, how much content are you putting out? How much trust do you have within the people that you have? How many likes and how much engagement do you have on a post?
Usually get like 50 likes.
How many followers do you
few
have?
comments, like 1,400.
Okay, I have like 700 and I get the same amount of likes or more.
Yeah.
So what are we saying about your actual engagement?
The engagement level right now is it depends on the post. Some are hits, some are misses. They're not all going to be,
Yep.
hits.
Here's a question, and an even better question. Is that something you love to do?
To do these posts and stuff?
Yes.
Probably not, no.
Okay. Why not delegate that? How much money and time are you losing by not delegating that?
It's a good question.
And that's not a question you need to answer right now. But what I'm hearing right now is that you have 1,500 followers and you are getting 50 something likes on those followers. I have 700 followers and I'm not a social media guru by any means, but I'm getting the same amount of engagement as you. How is that possible? Because I'll tell you what it is. And one of the reasons is that I actually like to do posts. I actually like creating my content. I love posting it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like it's like a necessary evil. I enjoy putting out like good content. It's fun for me.
Yeah.
Instead of saying like, what do I have to put out?
Right.
And if that is something that you feel, delegate it to somebody else because there's someone who will love doing it. And if you actually put yourself out there, they'll probably do it for free or they'll barter.
Yeah. Well, this whole process or the online coach accelerator program, it's really not about, is it about loving it? Is it about being like, maybe at this point, I'm not in the position to make that call. Maybe that's something I have down the road. At this point, it's learning the process. And I do like the idea of figuring out people's pain points and how I can connect my own story to it and creating it and like in this process. And it's all about, I do like how if I do create a message and it does resonate, it does feel empowering when people do connect with that message. So there are parts of it that I do enjoy. Sometimes I guess the pressure of having to have something every day, but that's when so I sit down for like 2 to 3 hours a week and just write out all my posts for the week. And sometimes it flows and sometimes it doesn't, but it's not necessarily something I hate. Would it be something I'd want to delegate down the road? Probably. But I do, it just depends because this content isn't exactly, there's through this program, there's a definite way of how to write it to make it the most persuasive. So you're connecting with your target niche and you're not just being inspirational, but you're being influential.
All right. So let me ask you this. What is your biggest engagement of posts?
Which ones get the most?
Yes.
I'd have to look back, but
I could tell you.
what's that?
Freestyle Fridays.
Oh, yeah, those do. Yeah, yeah.
So is that on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like to the moon, like awesome, and 0 being that doesn't do anything for me? What do those do for you?
Like in terms of fulfilling me?
Yes.
Yeah, that's ultimately, something I would love to do just like full time.
Why are those mutually exclusive?
Um,
Why are you wasting time posting shit that you don't care about? Because that 2 to 3 hours you're working on posting shit that you really don't care about is 2 to 3 hours you can work on Fit Style Friday. And would you rather have a fucking home run once a week or a bunch of bunts 7 times a week?
well, the idea behind the bunts is that you're accumulating that over time. So the difference between a fit style Friday is powerful in the sense that it allows your audience to connect. So there's definitely an element of like, yes, that would be a powerful post to do once a week, but it's also this idea of showing up for your audience and providing them with value and demonstrating yourself as an expert in the field that
Great,
they can go to.
inauthentically. Because you don't fucking want to do the post.
And
why not just delegate that to somebody else or do it on a fucking platform where it just post a picture? Who cares? Because they're not fucking, I mean, like you could put a little something in it, but like, why are you spending 2 to 3 hours on something that you really don't love to do?
Because it'll allow me to.
Yeah, you get more engagement each day and you have to have that feed and shit like that. But guess what? Delegate that shit to somebody else. Because there's someone out there who loves to do that. And they might do it for free or they might trade for it.
Yeah, I see your point.
You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, listen, I really like to do a lot of the things that I do. And I think it shows in my work. Like, I love doing like fucking movement coaching. That shit gets me rock hard. Like, I love doing, like you see when I do my PRI videos, I love PRI. It's fucking part of my life. Like when I post about it, I'm passionate about it. Do you think that resonates?
I do.
It comes through in the videos. When I see you do Fit Style Friday, I see that it resonates in you.
Yeah.
And I think if you just like literally at the end of it, for more content, click here. And then they go to something that says ripped and resilient. You go, oh, what the fuck is this? Like, how hard is that? You know? Because if it's just like a content driver anyway and you love to do it, great. Plus, here's the cool thing. It's like the reason why content is we put out content is that it gives people the opportunity to tell who we are and what we're passionate about. And when those people like are like, wow, this is fun and I like this, they're like, okay, what the hell is this person all about? They're shredded. They're funny. They're like, oh, wow, they have their own fucking program. Why don't I do that?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think where a lot of resistance is coming from for me is that I do want to give this program that I signed up for as much of myself as possible because I committed to it. Not to say exactly what you're saying is not quite in alignment. I think there's truth to it. I feel where my resistance lies is in, okay, this is the system or this is the model that they're showing me and teaching me. So I'm going to lean into it and give it everything I got. And I want to see how it works. And to be honest, like a lot of people, when I released the Ripped and Resilient, like a lot of people reached out and I got 4 to sign up. And that's for me huge because it is a high ticket item for sure. So it's like, okay, it is working for sure. Like I've already made my money back and more.
Okay, so there's a win right there, but you're also learning lessons along the way as well.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. But I do understand what you're saying in that, like, if you're showing up and creating content that you love, then it will resonate and people will engage with it more. But then there's also the part of me that's like, okay, I'm giving this as much commitment level to this program as possible and their system, and I'm trying to figure out. And there are some posts that I really do love to do. Don't get me wrong. They're not all like, I'm not like dragging through this. It does get my creative bug going, and I do enjoy that. It's like, but it's like a little bit of constraint behind it. So it's like, okay, how do I continue to like make this authentically me? And I feel like every time it's getting more and more in alignment.
Yeah, obviously there's practice involved, but I think one of the things that we get caught in is the how, and we lose our why.
Right.
Why do you want? Let me ask you this: why do you want a successful online business?
I want a successful online business because that will provide me. The reason I would like it online is so I can do it from anywhere.
Okay, so why an online business?
An online business provides freedom where I could once again do it from anywhere and bring in financial freedom.
So what you're saying is that you're not free without this. Because you just said the definition of your freedom is that if you go into this online business, it's going to create freedom for me. So it's something that I go achieve.
That's what you're saying, though.
You are free.
Yeah. Free in the sense that I can go travel for
You can do that now. You don't need an online coaching thing to do that.
Financially, probably not. I mean, yes, and yes, that's true.
Good. Don't prove me wrong. Prove me right. Because I guarantee if you said, okay, I'm going to go fucking move to another country, within 2 or 3 days, you could probably find a job and start coaching there. Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay. So you just, you debunked your own bullshit.
Yeah.
You are free. You don't need an online coaching accelerator to prove that. Now, obviously, this will give you the resources and strategies to unlock your why and to kind of give you some framework. But if you don't have a solid fucking why and contact with your purpose and who you are, what do you think you're going to be putting out?
Inauthentic bullshit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I'm very clear on what my why is. And I think we talked about it a couple podcasts ago.
Let me ask you this. What if you spent those 2 to 3 hours, you delegated that out, and instead of putting one Fit Style Friday out, you did, something like you put out another awesome, funny piece of content on Monday, and then you also put out Fit Style Friday.
And then the other 3 posts in the week.
Yeah, and then and those other ones are delegated out to somebody else who loves to do that stuff. Maybe put an inspiring quote on top of it and then just put some hashtags on it. You don't need a fucking diatribe underneath it. You can just put something up. Right?
Yeah.
So
I'm still there's still a lot of resistance in it, in that like I'm wanting to follow their formula.
I get it.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Because like,
so what is their formula?
So their formula is you target your niche. You figure out your niche's pain points. You're fit to solve their pain points. You discuss what their pain points are, and provide them value in how to address them. And if they need more help, then you can coach them through it. In every post, you want to kind of touch on that and how you relate to it and how you are suitable to and positioned as an expert to help them.
Okay. How is Instagram and doing a picture the best way of going about that?
So it's Instagram picture and then writing out underneath. Yeah.
And I'm going to ask you this is like, do you believe it, what you write?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I wouldn't write it if I didn't believe it. 100%.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't put out shit that's like,
Yeah.
no, everything I write, I am 100% in alignment with, I agree with. And it's how I live my life.
Yep.
So I wouldn't put anything out there that was not, like, I wouldn't fucking like promote some like bullshit product just because like it got me money, or I wouldn't promote something like, you know, we all have our character and that's all we have. That's like, I'm a big believer in that. So I would never write something that I didn't practice myself or didn't find value in myself.
So talk to me more about how you can help people. And why you're the one that is going to help people.
Okay. So I'm speaking to a specific person right now.
You're speaking to your audience.
Yeah. So you right now are either you've let your health go and you don't prioritize it. Okay. Give me 1 second.
You can't fuck this up.
I know.
Not in the sense that like, you know, you can't be fucking this up, but like there's no wrong answer here. So
Right.
Just start saying whatever it is that you're thinking.
Okay.
Because you got to clear the hose a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get things rolling.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just trying to I'm trying to think of it in terms of the specific person and why I'm the person.
Okay.
So
you said that. Good. Keep going.
okay, right.
My mind
All right,
wants to get a specific person that I want to sell to.
Right. My mind wants to get a specific person that I'm trying to help.
And all the while, Tyler, I want you to continue to feel what's in your chest right now beating.
Okay.
Because you can simultaneously hold on to both of those things because you're so fucking powerful and you're so big that you can have the entire universe within you.
Okay. Good to know.
Check.
Check. All right. So, So you've put everything you've had into building this career for yourself, but along the way, you've let your health slip. You're not sure what to do at this point. You are probably tight in your hips. You're sore lower back, and I can relate with that because those are things that I've dealt with through my fitness journey, and that having tight hips, tight lower back, it fucks with you. So I know exactly what you're going through, and I know how to create a routine that you feel good, you're building muscle, you're burning fat, and you don't have to deal with that pain. I'm the person who's going to hold you accountable. I know a big limiter of this is that you haven't prioritized it. So how do you help prioritize it? Is have somebody in your corner, having your back. So when you do slip up, they're like, hey, what's going on? Like, we need to get you back into this. There's somebody there who can, keep it light so we can enjoy it along the way. It doesn't have to be a grind, doesn't have to be a struggle. We can work out, we can feel good, and we can actually enjoy it. And I know that might sound weird to you that you can enjoy working out, but it's true. And it's also about building it as a habit. Like when I first got it started, like I was a fat kid. I didn't, working out was super foreign to me. I had self-confidence issues. I still deal with those self-confidence issues to this day. So I know exactly what you're going through when you look in the mirror and you're not happy, or if you're at the beach, you don't want to take your shirt off. Like, I know what that's like. So, and I know on the flip side of that, when you've built your body up, the confidence that can have and the power that derives from that when you do change your body, what that does to the rest of your life, and how moving your body changes your mood, and then your mood is better, and that makes your work better, and you have more energy. And all on the way, I can help, guide you in creating the proper workouts and dialing in your nutrition, and we can do mindset, and we can set powerful goals for ourselves, because I know we get lost in that day-to-day grind, especially being with our career, or we have our nose to the grindstone. So I can help you actually get your eyes up and see the forest above the trees, because I went through that process myself, and I've been diving deep into personal development and goal setting, and we can tackle that. So, I know you've been invested in your career. I know that health is important to you. You either have you feel your energy slipping, you feel your body aching, and you need to do something about it, because you don't want to be fucking stuck in a chair or using a cane or have to pay for a back surgery. We can stop that, we can prevent that, and it doesn't have to go that way. And yeah, that's why I'm fit to serve you.
How's that feel?
It feels good.
Or how do you feel now?
I feel open and lighter, and the beating of my heart went from one of fear to excitement.
So, what's your first step from here?
First, taking a piss, because I got to really pee, and then I got an appointment at 3. So that's my first step from here. But my first step is, that's where I try to write my post from, right? That right there is like, it encapsulates the messaging that I want people to get. Like,
yeah. And here's the cool thing is, because we do this podcast, now you have that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think just putting that into content that you can then put in front of people, I think that is what people want, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's as funny as it is like, how nice those, the pictures and shit you have is, people also need to see some darkness, you know what I mean? To resonate, right?
Yeah.
So like, it's something that Gary Vee said, but like, he's like, if you're in a fitness industry and you have a breakout or you have a pimple on your face, put that shit straight on your Instagram. Cause he's like, that's shit that fucking people resonate with.
Yeah.
Because, we're portrayed as these perfect individuals in the fitness community, but I think that also scares some people away, because they're like, oh, I can't do that because this person's a freaking perfect. They do this for a living. I'm not going to be able to do what they do. But like, I think what you just said was, and what really actually resonated with me is like, yo, I was just like you. And there's no real difference between me and you, which is amazing, because you can do what I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you can do what I do. It doesn't take that much effort. You just need to practice it. And that's the only difference between me and you. I've been practicing this for 10 years. You've got to get started. And I'm the one who's going to help you along the way.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's a post right there. There's no difference between me and you. I've been practicing for 10 years, and I'm here to help you get started.
Yeah, that's it. It's like going out and playing golf with one of your buddies who's been playing since 6. You're like, oh, you're really, really good. What did you do? I've been playing since I was 6. That's not fair. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it is what it is. Like,
Yeah.
It just takes time. When it's something that's not, when it comes to your genetics or your natural, physiology, like when it comes to experience, the only thing that creates experience is doing it for a long amount of time. That's the only thing that takes to be fit, is just experience
and habits.
Yeah, that's it. And that takes zero innate ability. It's just day in,
doing it,
day out, do it.
Show up.
Yeah.
And that's why you gotta have a coach in your corner.
So what I want you to do is, I'm a guy who likes to create videos, and you're a guy who likes to, it seems to be in his heart, and create some good content. What I want you to do is, I want you to send me a few nice pictures, and I want you to send me a video of you doing some of your workouts or whatever that might be. And I say, I'm going to take your that what you just said, your elevator sales pitch, and I will put that to music, and I will put that to video, and I'll make a nice little vignette for you, and that's something that you can use. How do you like that?
It sounds lovely. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. You're my brother, and I want you to do well. And the only reason I'm willing to do this is because you're willing to put yourself out there and go there. And I like doing this. It's not a chore for me. But I'm offering this to you because there's so many people who want to help you. Mm-hmm. And I say this to myself through you, but there's so many people that want to help all of us. It's just a matter of us actually doing it and asking for help. If you don't ask the universe for help, it's saying, okay, I'm not going to help you.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
It's true, though.
So I need you to do that for me, and I'll send that to you. I'll put that together lickety split. So
send some pictures and then a video of me working out?
Yep.
Okay.
Like I know you've probably have some stuff on your phone, just something simple, nothing crazy. Make sure the lighting's pretty good. Or with you working with a client or two or whatever, like all that stuff. I'll just put it in a video and I'll put that track over the top of it.
Cool.
And then you have something, right? It's a start.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you 1 million people, but it's a start.
Yeah. I like that. That's cool.
Sounds good.
All right. Let's wrap this puppy up. It's been a good one.
Awesome, man. Well, if you like this podcast, you need to subscribe today.
Right now.
Right? Not later. Now. Because you're going to get... You got that pita in your hand. It's got falafel in it. Forget it. Put that aside, and you're going to be signing up for our podcast right now. Subscribe right now, guys, on all major platforms. This is Flo State featuring Tyler LaFlock and Sean LaFlock. Tyler, if we need to get a hold of you, how can we get it?
Tyler LaFlock on Instagram, tflowfitness.com. And please rate as well. Don't even just subscribe. 5 stars across the board.
5 stars or don't review at all. 5 stars or go to hell. And I'm Sean LaFlock. You can get me at flockfitness.com. You can get me on Instagram at flockfitness. I also have a YouTube page, Flock Fitness. Great workouts and that kind of stuff. Tyler, I will talk to you next week, buddy.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye.